Welcome to the I Hate Critics movie review podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. Hi, Jeff.
Hello. Did you like that?
Join us on various different social media apps, including Facebook, which is getting updated regularly now, which is good. Getting a lot of stuff up there. And I just did a deep dive on the 2005 and 2007 Fantastic Four films. If you want to read about that, of course, ahead of the release of Fantastic Four First Steps. Those are both up on our Facebook page, facebook.com, and just search I Hate Critics. Jeff, how about your art?
JeffLassiter.com is my website. If you are in the Iowa City area on the 21st, I will be at the Pride Fest in Iowa City. And then the week after that, I will be in Davenport, Iowa at Planet FunkCon, which is a big convention here in the Quad Cities that has a lot of voice actors. The lady who played Jem from Jem and the Holograms is going to be there. I'm super excited. And so is Sarah Brown from General Hospital, because I just like soap operas. Along with a ton of other people. Phil Lamar, who's been in everything you've ever seen or ever listened to, will be there. All sorts. If you go to, you can look up Planet FunkCon on Instagram, you can see all the people that are coming to see me, because I'll be there.
Very cool. Let's see. Anything else you want to mention before we get started? We've had a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah,
in terms of trying to get the show on the air. We had a storm last week that kind of threw off everything.
We were right in the middle of talking about one of the best movies of the year, and the gods didn't like that.
They smited the show.
Yes. And we were talking about Karate Kid.
You'll never know what I had to say about Karate Kid. You'll just never get to hear that.
Spoiler alert, it fucking sucked.
Yeah, I hate it. Much better week this week, I would say. At least for me. I know I liked this week's movies plenty. So we'll start with Ballerina from the world of John Wick, or is it from the world of John Wick Ballerina? I can't remember how they are wording that. That just a distinct lack of confidence that they have in selling this movie without the name John Wick in the title. Ana de Armas playing Eve, a woman who grows up in the Ruska Roma as learns how to be a killer while she's also becoming a ballerina, and she's going to go off and try and kill the man who killed her father, played by Gabriel Byrne, and leads this cult that, for some reason, Jeff, have you ever seen Gymkata?
No, I don't think so.
Gymkata, for people who do know, is this crazy B movie it starred Mitch Gaylord, I think it was. No, Thomas. It was one of the Olympic gold medal winners. Anyway, there's this thing there, and he goes to a foreign country to fight a battle, and he ends up in this village of the crazies where it's just nothing but insane people who all attack him. Everybody in the town. And
he's in Princeton, Iowa.
It's a sequence at the end of Ballerina where she's basically in the village of the crazies because everyone is attacking her. All it's missing is like a in the middle of in Gymkata, there's like a pommel horse that he gets to jump on and use, and then they somehow have a bar for him to jump up and grab on and kick people. Other than that, same premise, same idea. Ballerina just ripping off Gymkata.
Did he have a special guest star who dragged the movie down?
He dragged the movie down?
Look, I would have liked this movie a lot better if it hadn't been John Wick in the middle of it. I'm just saying.
Really?
We talked about the Gymkata movies. When we talked about the John Wick movies, I said they were fine, but I just feel like the end of it, there was like an extra act that was just to put Keanu Reeves in. And I would have actually dug the movie much more. It wasn't bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, although it went on way too long. And I think that they could have cut all the Keanu subplots, and it would have gotten a lot quicker and would have been better for it. I know
Yeah,
that that's probably an unpopular opinion, but
well, especially we got a comment on TikTok. I posted an interview clip with Keanu Reeves, and some guy was whining that they've taken the franchise away from him and gave it to a girl.
oh Jesus. Look, I'm
It's like,
sorry that these
uh,
men can't get laid because they're fucking ugly and disgusting and have no social skills whatsoever. But don't blame that on fucking de Armas. Should.
oh, it's one of the dumbest comments. I felt stupider just reading it, but uh, I get what you're saying. I think the problem that I have with Keanu's part is that it doesn't really fit with the John Wick kind of legend part. Like the little
Mhm.
cameos that he does early on are interesting, and they could have tied him and her together a little bit more with him kind of identifying with her in some way, finding a way for them to be bonded that would give him more reason to do what he does at the end. But it seems kind of almost random that he decides to not do something that he's there to do. Um,
Yeah.
and I think they should have done something more similar to High Noon, like where like we hear that John Wick is coming, and he's like coming in on the train, and the train is this far away, and you're building up to him arriving, and maybe like you're also counting down to that midnight deadline that Gabriel Byrne is given to get rid of Eve, or he's going to attack the Ruska Roma, and make that kind of the him arriving is like a last second thing, and then he's making his decision at the very last second about how this town has been he's seeing that this town has been unfair to her or something, or Gabriel Burns
Well,
not following the rules. Then he decides to do what he does. I didn't think he had enough motivation for them to nearly kill each other, and then him going, okay, fine, you can have 20 minutes.
or what about even making him her trainer? Like, have him come and rescue her, de-age Keanu Reeves, because he's almost twice her age in this movie.
Mhm.
De-age him and have him be the one who rescues her instead of Ian McShane. And then, then you've set up this dynamic where he's really super torn about what's he going to do
Hmm.
instead of just he's like she Angelica Houston's corpse is hiring him to come and kill her. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that does cut quicker to the point, I would say, because it would marry them, and you can make that work timeline wise, because we before his wife died, he was still heavily into that world, and especially had connections to the Ruska Roma that are used as the main reason why they're so willing to help him as much as they do in the other John Wick movies.
mhm. Yeah, he just seemed like they were so scared about releasing this movie by itself that they had to shoehorn him in. And I didn't buy anything. Like when she stops him in the corridor and she was just like, "Oh, this is going to be a very important moment later." And do you remember me? No, I don't remember you. Okay, well, let's fight then. That would have I don't know, it just seemed like it was shoehorned in and not very well.
Hmm. That said, Anna de Armas is a badass, and I think she nails just about every moment of this. So the early action scene, where we find out what the Ruska Roma does, which is they're hired protectors, and she's the protector for this woman in a nightclub, protecting her from a man who's there to kill her. And I thought that action sequence was spectacular.
Agreed. I really actually I was I think I've talked about this on the show. Going into this, I was just like, why do they all have to be trained as ballerinas? And then that's really less of the movie than it made it seem like
Mhm.
in the trailer. So I was fine with it. I almost wish that Tatiana had come to her rescue. Tatiana who burned out of the program, but
Mhm.
became a star ballerina.
Yeah.
I kind of wish she'd like at the very end been like, oh, this was all, it was all a ruse.
Hmm.
So,
I didn't think they
uh,
really underlined that character enough to make her that important.
well, they
Uh,
could have.
they could have maybe. But I think enough of this is working, and especially this is directed by Len Wiseman of Underworld, and so that
Hmm.
really lowered my expectations. So this really had a low bar to get over with me because I didn't expect much from Len Wiseman. Nothing against the guy; he's never been. I mean, none of the Underworld movies that he directed are that bad. Nothing that he's directed has been like Paul W.S. Anderson levels of bad, but
Yeah.
he's just mostly just been competent. And here he's a little bit more than competent. I think he's got a strong action technique, he really fits everything to look like a John Wick movie. It does mimic a lot of the style that Chad Stahelski had previously established with the franchise, and so I thought he did well enough. He doesn't do anything to to separate it and separate himself as a director or anything, but as a solid you know carpenter, he put together a good John Wick box.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought, I forgot that it was him that directed this because I know you made a joke about it when I saw you last week. And I forgot he was the director until I saw it, directed by, I was like, oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
It was, we always damn it with, damn these movies with faint praise that are competent. But this was, I think, more than competent. I thought, um, maybe it was damning it with low expectations
Yeah,
that, it's kind of made it seem better than it might have been. I don't know. I was mostly entertained. Um, again, my only issue with it was kind of the shoehorning in of Keanu. So,
my biggest issue has been from the start the title and just the just Lionsgate just tipping their hands so hard that they had zero confidence in this movie from the world of John Wick, or just continuously pushing that out there. Really it was kind of bizarre, and it really just kind of undermined so much of what Ana de Armas was doing, and especially she does such great work that had John Wick shown up and as he does in the movie, like keeping it as it is, but they didn't make that a big part of the marketing push. It's like, oh shit, that's fucking John Wick. That's so
yeah.
cool. John Wick is here. But they had to tip their hand and say, "Oh, Keanu's in the movie, guys. Don't worry, guys, don't worry. He's in the movie. Please come see us." Uh,
Yeah. I mean, it
I
was
mean,
fine.
yeah.
That's,
If you didn't have the confidence to do this, fully, then why do it at all? Why why try to do this at all? Like, if you don't think the character or the actor, if you don't think Ana de Armas can carry this thing by herself without the need of having Keanu there, then just don't do it.
I, they left this open for a sequel. And I honestly was like, when I left the theater, I thought, I might actually watch a sequel to this movie if it doesn't have John Wick in it.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
then I thought, like, did they establish her enough as her own character to not have John Wick in it? I think they did. I think she's such a good actor anyway.
Oh yeah.
Um, she just, I did not see Blonde on principle, but,
Oh, what a piece of shit. Yeah.
but like, Knives Out, she held her own against every single actor who'd been around in the industry for dozens of years,
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Christopher
And
Plummer,
watching her with Christopher Plummer and with Chris Evans, and I
yeah.
mean the entire cast of that film is just this cast of just absolute pros who were in that film. For her to be so young and to be acting opposite them is it's so impressive what she's able to do. And she was what really had me hyped for this movie was her role in No Time to Die, the James Bond movie. I don't like the James Bond movies, but she shows up for like 5, 6, 7 minutes in that, and it's one of the best action sequences of the last decade. Is her and Daniel Craig fighting some bad guys. She's his backup for a scene, and it's really great. It's just this incredible action scene.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't
So
watch the James Bond movies.
I knew she could carry action, and I knew she had the physicality and the presence to be, the star of this franchise. I just don't think, I think Lionsgate did so much to undermine her that
Yeah,
it's really, it's a lot of this is their fault that the movie doesn't perform quite to the standard that it should.
right. Agreed.
Which is weird because, like, sorry to keep it going because it seems like a time to move on, but like, it's weird because, like, when Keanu made the first John Wick, he was in a situation where he was kind of at a low point in his career, and they showed complete confidence in him and complete confidence in the character that he was building that led to that movie becoming a phenomenon. If they'd had a similar amount of confidence going into this one and built their marketing campaign with that kind of confidence, there's no reason why this couldn't have succeeded just as well.
Yeah, I think that they fumbled it, and it would have been great to have the word of mouth that he shows up. Um, what I don't know. I mean, it could have been you'd see them at the Continental, and you realize it's from the world of John Wick. You don't have to call it that.
Yeah.
So
Those little hallmarks that would have revealed it as being part of that universe, or the rumors bubbling under that this is a John Wick movie, I think probably would have served this movie better than actually saying, no, please, it is a John Wick movie, we swear.
yeah,
That just made it made the movie kind of seem silly, and I do think that I've always said this, and people always hit back at me on this, but I honestly believe that when you create a perception of your movie via marketing, that perception is going to affect how people watch the movie. It's going to affect
hmm,
your experience of the movie, and that's a lot of times, like, I want to go into a movie blind because I don't want to have those expectations created, but when you can't, when it's a movie that has to be like blasted out across the entire world as a potential blockbuster, that's kind of unavoidable. So you have to take in what the marketers have given you, and when it doesn't, when that marketing feels like they don't have enough confidence in this movie to work on its own, that affects how you're going to watch it. It affects how you're going to perceive it. It's and we're talking about a movie that is only really a good movie and not a great movie that can transcend any type of poorly poorly managed expectations.
yeah, agreed. Something that did not have low expectations, I don't think, would have been the Phoenician Scheme.
Hmm. The Phoenician Scheme, of course, Wes Anderson's new movie, starring Benicio del Toro alongside Mia Threapleton and Michael Cera, in the story of a businessman who is a bit of a con artist. He's a millionaire, but his all of his finances are a bit shady. He's trying his one last scheme because he thinks it might be his last scheme because so many people are trying to kill him. The movie opens with him surviving his 7th plane crash. Which I thought was such a wonderful detail. He survives that. This causes him to try and reconnect with his daughter, Mia Threapleton, who hasn't seen in many years. She's becoming a nun. He wants her to become the sole heir to his company and help him achieve his Phoenician scheme, which basically is just him trying to go around fleecing his various business partners and family members into paying the gap, the amount of money that he doesn't have to finish this giant scheme. But what's fascinating to me, and what seems to fascinate Wes Anderson, is this idea of men of incredible flaws, the very egotistical men who are put through something that forces them to kind of examine themselves and become a little bit better. He did this with Bill Murray in Rushmore. Who he's a asshole businessman, but he was also a guy who wanted to be better so he could, be with this woman and get her to fall in love with him. Then you've got, Gene Hackman in Royal Tenenbaums, who is, again, he's an asshole. He's a real jerk to his family. He's a businessman who doesn't seem like he cares, but he wants to reconnect with his kids late in his life and genuinely desires that. And that's kind of the story it's a redemption arc in the weirdest way, because the characters aren't necessarily acting any differently. They're just, but slowly but surely, under the surface, they're becoming better people. And it's almost like Wes Anderson is sneaking in a very conventional story behind this very unusual package. And I've always loved the way he does that. He does that in pretty much all of the movies, but here I thought it was really effective. Benicio del Toro and Mia Threapleton, the whole thing is so interesting. There's the tagline for this movie is if something is in your way, flatten it. And it seems to me like that's exactly what Wes Anderson is doing via the performances, where he just takes all of the kind of energy and the cadence of a typical actor and just flattens the performances. But he's also playing the story underneath that. So the staccato tone is actually covering up what is actually a very active, bubbling story that's taking place with Corda realizing the amount of trouble that he's in and having these nightmares about, going to heaven and not being able to get in, having to justify himself to get in. And his daughter, of course, coming the other direction. She's full of faith in God, but is kind of being pulled away from her faith, and them kind of meeting in the middle. I thought there's so many rich layers to this storytelling that you really don't, if you're not like really paying attention, you might miss behind all of the various touches that Wes Anderson does, the flat, staccato rhythm of the dialogue, the very stylized settings, his very stylized camera movements. All of that is just really like just the pieces of brilliant individual pieces of filmmaking, and then this wonderful story that is happening, but it's almost completely under the surface.
Yeah, I sometimes think that he gets a little twee with his,
Mm,
trying to make everything uh, like an art, like a painting. His production design is very much like that, and sometimes it it stretches a little bit for me,
mm,
to the point where it feels like it almost is going to break. Um, but I think what saves it in most of the time are the characters and the performances, because I don't think they always, I'm thinking of some of his, most of the people that are in his movies are in there, are in multiple movies of his. Um, and I think most of them get it, but occasionally he'll have somebody that doesn't
mhm.
necessarily seem like they, like they're part of his famous players. Um,
Right.
and I guess sometimes it feels a little like depends on the part that they're playing.
Mhm.
Like I didn't really care that Bill Murray was in this one because he played God, and I thought that was kind of a little on the nose for the way people think of him in these movies. Um, but overall, I mean, I enjoyed this one a lot more than some of the other ones that I've watched of his, with the exception of the Royal Tenenbaums, because of Benicio del Toro.
Hmm.
And I mean, I love him as an actor, and I love to watch him um, reach the height that I think that people don't really think he can get to sometimes. I
Mhm.
think sometimes they get, he works a lot, and I think he does so because he loves to work, but I think sometimes he'll take stuff just to work.
Hmm.
And not in a not because like, oh my God, I need to work, but I want to work. So he'll just say, oh, you know what, I'll try this and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, and sometimes it doesn't. Um, there's something about him in this movie though that is just perfection and doesn't seem like him. it almost seems like he's doing Benicio del Toro doing a Wes Anderson movie
Mm.
sometimes. And I really enjoyed that. I mean, I don't mean that as a criticism whatsoever.
No, no. What struck
Um,
me and what I found amazing about his performance, I think if people actually take the time to really, and talking about Oscar voters specifically, take the time to invest and see exactly what it is that he is doing in this role, they'll recognize that this is real acting as opposed to like the constantly rewarding the people who look like they're doing the most. He is doing
acting.
Yeah, exactly. He's not doing that. He's not doing nothing, but he's also like he's delivering a fully fleshed out performance. This character is so incredibly well realized, and yet he rarely raises his voice. He rarely is throwing. He's not mugging a lot
Mhm.
till late until maybe late in the movie, which when it's called for. But what's amazing to me is that he feels like a 1930s, 1940s movie star. There's a
Yeah.
quality to him that is very reminiscent of like a Clark Gable. Like if Clark Gable had been in a Wes Anderson movie, I think Benicio del Toro is kind of giving you that vibe. I really loved that. I just adored this performance and the immediate chemistry that he has with Mia Threapleton as his daughter. I was just the rhythm, the patois between them is just so fantastic. They're just going, just going back and forth incredibly. And then you add in Michael Cera, and Michael Cera, he's the acquired taste for a lot of people. I thought his energy in this, the way he uses Michael Cera, is so important to this movie. He doesn't seem like it, but he's so incredibly important because his energy is just slightly different than anybody else's. He's got a little quiver in his voice where it's everybody else is very stern, very flat, very forward. I thought there's a little bit of color in his performance, and it was just the perfect energy to bring to this, that just really elevated the movie for me.
Michael Cera was born to be in a Wes Anderson movie. I mean, he was just like this and George Michael in Arrested Development. I think nobody else could play these parts.
Hmm.
Um, there are times when I feel like Benicio del Toro is playing Howard Hughes, and
Hmm.
sometimes he's playing Tennessee Williams, and he's playing all these archetypes for whatever fits the mood of the scene.
Hmm.
And Michael Cera he's playing a version of Michael Cera playing somebody, you know what I mean? He's just so I get yeah, there's no better way for me to describe it than he was born to be in a movie like this. Um uh Mia Threapleton doing playing a nun in full drag, um with a full face of makeup throughout the movie. As soon as she jumps on the plane with him, she's like in green eyeshadow and red lips and green tights, and I'm just like, oh, that was a choice, that I mean,
Well,
I've never seen
there's
her in
a
it.
there's an evolution going on,
Yeah.
again, that is never commented upon, but it's intentional. Where you see,
Mhm.
like the way she dresses, the makeup, the food,
Yeah.
drinking, like all of that is just evolving as she's going on this journey that is not necessarily taking her away from her faith, but changing her relationship to God,
Yeah.
and from one of complete piety to more of a balanced kind of normalcy, still having faith, but not having it be your entire life. And
Yeah.
that's a very unique arc that you don't often see in movies.
Yeah. Another kind of standout moment was Hope Davis, but she's like, "You're gonna give me like not saying it in so many words, but give me the fucking money.
Hmm.
I want your fucking money. I don't care about you. I want your money." And just like the subtlety, but the like complete lack of subtlety at the same time.
Hmm.
I just thought that was a real standout too.
That's just another wonderful little piece. And another one is is a Benedict Cumberbatch's eyebrows and beard, uh, which I thought. I thought that's like every other piece of the man is perfectly manicured. The suit is perfect. Like every his diction, his manner is perfect, and then this just giant beard and giant eyebrows. I loved it, and just the way that character, way he plays that character again. Wes Anderson is putting together this just perfect symphony. And yeah, again, filmmaking is a collaborative effort, but when you look at Wes Anderson and what he's done throughout his career, it's clear that the auteur theory is real and it does exist because this guy is the author of his movies. Every piece is in place exactly the way he wants it to be. And yeah, you can't say that about many directors, but you can say that like when you're watching a Wes Anderson movie, you're watching a Wes Anderson movie.
For better or worse. I mean, mostly for better. But there are times when you like. I couldn't bring myself to watch Grand Budapest Hotel.
Hmm.
It just seemed so stagey to me that I just was like, I don't have to see this. I'm not going to see this.
I
Um,
loved it. I thought it was incredible. Really, really still do. I mean, it actually that's one of the ones that gets better for me the more I get away further I get away from it. The one I have
but
an issue with, I guess. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that being said, Royal Tenenbaums is a perfect movie. It's just I don't have a single problem with that movie.
Mhm.
Oh,
The one I have an issue with is Steve Zissou. I just don't think he quite realizes what he's going for there. I think he just wants to give Bill Murray a big part to kind of play around with, and I don't necessarily think he and Murray are quite on the same page as to what The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou is supposed to be. He wants something much more controlled, and Murray wants to do a more of a full on parody, and they're just not on the same page, and but that's really the one that hasn't worked for me. That and maybe I didn't love Fantastic Mr. Fox, but everything else he's done has just really resonated with me, especially the last few, like Asteroid City and Moonrise Kingdom. I think are both incredibly underrated, especially Moonrise Kingdom. If you have not seen Moonrise Kingdom, everybody needs to see that movie. That movie's phenomenal. It's one of the like are right up there being close to being my one of my favorites.
hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's I enjoyed it much more than I thought I was going to, and I think in large part because of the two lead actors. Um, their chemistry was really good. Benicio del Toro is, and I want to see him play Howard Hughes. I want to see him play Tennessee Williams. Like he's obviously a Latino, but I don't care.
Yeah, he's aging perfectly into these roles, and especially into this one. I could not imagine another actor playing this role. He's just absolutely perfect.
Agreed.
Let's see what else do we have this week? I don't have my list in front of me.
We saw Dangerous Animals.
Dangerous Animals. That's right. Directed by Sean Byrne and starring Hassie. What's her last name? Hassie. I can't remember her
Hamilton.
last name. The lead actress.
Yeah,
Her
yeah,
name is Hassie, and she plays Zephyr, who is an American surfer. She's you know gone through a lot in her life, and she's gone off to Australia to be alone and away from people and just surf. She's tried very hard to avoid people, but she finds herself unable to avoid a guy named Moses, who kind of breaks down her defenses, kind of gets to her a little bit, and kind of forms a rare connection that she doesn't have, and it's kind of perfect timing for that because she's eventually captured by this serial killer named Tucker, played by Jai Courtney, who tends to go after specifically the kind of person that she is, somebody who is an American and far from home and seemingly has few connections, few people who might go looking for them. She is right there in his sweet spot of a victim, which for him is a victim is somebody he kidnaps, takes out in the middle of the ocean, and then dangles into shark chum to watch these people be eaten by sharks. And his fetish is kind of watching the last moments of their lives drain away in pure terror as they're being eaten by a shark, which is a very unique means of killing for a serial murderer. You I don't think I don't think we've ever seen that in a movie before. So I do appreciate that. But what really impressed me about this movie wasn't anything to do with the killer. It was with her performance. The with
Hmm.
especially this very unique arc of her going through this horrendous trauma of nearly being killed by a serial killer who feeds people to sharks, and this is what draws her back to life as opposed to pushing her further away from wanting to be around people. Which I thought that was very interesting. Her journey here is going from being somebody who is fully, completely independent and seemingly happy that way to realizing that I do want to be connected to people. I do want to be connected to at least one person, someone in the world who cares about where I am and what I'm doing. And watching that happen via this story is unusual, but it worked, and especially it worked because of her performance. She's very compelling.
I agree. She was really the highlight. That and Jai Courtney's bear dance in his underwear.
It's
I had, I think
his
I told
Silence
you
of the
this.
Lambs moment.
Yes, yes, exactly what I thought I was thinking as I was watching it. I saw you right after I saw this in the theater, and
Mhm.
I think I told you that I had absolutely no idea he was in this. No idea he was Australian. The last time I think I saw him was in one of the Die Hard movies.
Mhm.
Um, so I had absolutely no idea that was him until about halfway through, and I was like, God, who is this guy? So I ran out and looked it up, and I was like, holy shit, that's Jai Courtney. And the rest of the movie was just like made for me. And I was
I
never
was
been like a Jai Courtney stan or anything. I just
Yeah.
was like, he's playing somebody that I never ever considered him for. And I just thought he looked like Oliver Reed, which is a
Hmm.
very good thing at
Hmm.
about that age. Um, he just between him and Hassie Harrison, I think their chemistry was off the charts. Josh Houston too. I think she had really good chemistry with him. But if he had been the killer and it had been, um, you know, Jai Courtney coming to save her, I would have been fine with that too. Honestly, because they had such a good chemistry together. So,
Hmm. Uh, what was I saying? What was I thinking? Sorry, I had a thought. Now it's gone. I didn't love his performance. I I think he did fine. I don't think this is necessarily, other than the means of how he kills people, I thought it was interesting, but otherwise I didn't feel that this was that special a performance of a killer. It felt like a lot of killers I've seen in other movies, a lot of other psychopaths that we've seen in movies. He's fine. He's good. He does a good enough job. You know how I knew he was Australian? It's because in Suicide Squad they named him Boomerang.
uh,
It couldn't be more on the nose and very, very stupid. Uh, so yeah, that's how I knew he was Australian, and I recognized him because he kind of still looks like the character he played in Suicide Squad. He's a good actor, but like I said before, that I think her performance is so much more interesting, and her connection with Josh Houston's character, I thought, really worked well because she really resisted it very, very well, and I thought it was believable the way he finally kind of won her over. And I thought, the way they expressed her kind of personal philosophy, and really, it's very modern, a very modern approach to bringing a female character to life, especially one who's been through what this character has eventually tells us that she's been through. I thought that was really well communicated and gave her just a great deal of depth. That she carries forward, that really carries her forward throughout, and especially when we're getting into the second act where things are kind of dragging along to kind of push you to that third act, um, it really helped to have so much investment in her. Um, One thing I gotta like, there's a little bit of gratuitousness to this movie that I didn't care for, and it's just one thing where it just kind of broke my immersion. And it's a character who is kidnapped early on, the first girl who gets kidnapped. We watch her get killed by the shark, and then we go through kind of watching Hassie's character being placed back down into the boat, and they cut to the next morning and we see something floating in the water, and then the camera drops below the water and we see this girl's head, like just above her, just below her shoulders, just kind of bobbing in the water. And I thought, like, this is the only time in the movie where we've left the perspective specifically of these characters, where we were not with these characters, and it just felt like the movie going, "Hey, you need something gory to look at quick? Here you go." And it's like, it's not, not really necessary, but okay, fine. I guess you shot the scene, put it in the movie.
Oh, I just, I think, I think that was the movie paying it off. Um, yeah, I didn't think that much about it. I just thought it was, the payoff after watching what she was going through.
Well, had there been any thought that she had a chance of surviving, maybe that would have, maybe that might have been more interesting. But there was no chance she had survived that.
I'm looking at it as a gorehound, though. That's the perspective that I'm looking at it as.
Yeah, I think just from a filmmaking perspective, I don't think they did enough stylistically to justify such a move away from the perspectives of the characters. So I think this movie's fine. It's good. It's good, and she is especially good. Hassie is exceptional in this movie, and brings a great deal more nuance to this kind of character that we don't see. Like when you think of something like, I don't know, High Tension comes to mind for some reason, or Wolf Creek. Those female characters in those movies are like, they don't get any depth whatsoever. They're just kind of there to scream and run, or kind of briefly be badasses or whatever. And here she's just bringing so much via her performance, via the little bit of exposition that she does in terms of telling us who she is, and so well communicated in just little pieces to tell you who she is, and then just so much of just her presence in bringing that to life separates this movie from other similar movies for me.
I'm gonna need her and Jennifer Lawrence to play sisters, though. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. I liked everything about it. I had a good time. I was invested in the characters, especially because of Elsie Harrison. I just thought she really kind of leapt off the screen. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And if again, I'm recommending the movie. I think it's good. And it's another one of these horror movies though that's quite good, but suffers in comparison to things that we've seen before, especially with how great the horror genre has been. I keep saying that. I feel like I say that every week. And this hasn't been a bad year for horror, because the other horror movie we need to talk about, Bring Her Back, is one of the best movies of the year. But when you take Bring Her Back, and when you take Sinners, and then you try and have another horror movie, everything is going to pale in comparison to those two movies that kind of transcend the genre.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a triple, like the triple crown of horror this year. Is going to be Megan 2.0. Hold on to your vaginas. No, I Bring Her Back it's one of the best movies of the year. Right now I can almost like write my top 5, and I always have this problem every year, like which is better. And I think this year the two that are in competition so far are Sinners and Bring Her Back. Because Bring Her Back affected me so viscerally. Like I'm not a squeamish person in a movie. In real life, yes. In a movie, no. But there are several points towards the end of the movie that I was literally having to like put my head down and like close my eyes a little bit, and just even the sound of it was a lot.
Yeah. Bring Her Back is about brother and sister whose father dies early in the film, and they get put into a foster situation with Sally Hawkins, who is a former counselor herself, who just recently lost her own daughter. who also happen to be blind, and the young girl here is also blind. And there's a lot of parallels that are going to feed into that story, but she immediately begins setting about sort of separating brother and sister because she has big plans for the sister and kind of needs the brother character to be out of the way, or at the very least divided. And she does this very systematically and very cleverly, to the point where it gets really frustrating, but frustrating in a really good way when
Yeah.
you realize what she's doing, whether it's reading his phone or causing him to think that he's peeing on himself in his sleep. Like the various different ways she's manipulating him and separating him from her is really smart. And really, the way that plays out is so unexpected and terrifying that it just adds so much to this movie. Sally Hawkins is one of the best actors working today. There really isn't anything she can't do. She is so convincing in everything she does. I just keep. I mean, the things that we've watched her do. These bright, sunny, weird characters, and then she can play a super dark, weird character, or she can be a straightforward lead. She can be the mom in a family movie. Like, she played an artist named Maudie in the 1920s who doesn't have much of a life, but like she's so vivid and so real. It's like, this is still compelling. She's just amazing, and what she does with this performance is just she just it feels like her grief is like it's raining on you. Like,
Yeah.
she's like a rainstorm that is constantly going all just over everyone, whether you're watching the movie or you're in the movie. You can't She's so overwhelming. And then you've got these two wonderful young actors who are just, I could not have better chemistry. Who even everything about them, the protective nature of the older brother, which is also based in a significant trauma that the sister isn't necessarily aware of. They build so many wonderful layers into that backstory that they reveal throughout. Just it all plays together to create this terrifying scenario that is building and building. And then, of course, you've got the character of Oliver, who is doing things in this movie that a child shouldn't do, shouldn't be able to do. He's he's so unpredictable and so terrifying, the things that he's willing to do to himself. Uh,
Yeah.
and then they give him more of a backstory. And when you realize what that is, you're like, oh my God, this is fucking terrifying. Somebody needs to stop this. The Filippo brothers are just they're just demons. They're just they're just going there. Reminding me like of the scene with the baby in The Witch. Like, babies don't die in movies. That baby will be fine. No, it won't. You know? Like, and here, like, they create a sense of danger for everyone in the movie, to the point where, like, there's a point early in the third act where it even seems like Sally Hawkins' character might not survive to the end, and there may be something even more dangerous involved here, which I found just to be incredible how they built that. This movie continues to. It's one of those great movies where it grows in your mind after you've seen it. It just sort of blossoms, and you start to realize things that you didn't realize while you were watching it, because you were so often covering your eyes and catching your breath.
Yeah, I mean, the performances in this alone, um, I just I can't even, like, Sora Wong. It's her
Hmm.
first thing she's ever done. She plays Piper, the younger sister, who's kind of the object of Sally Hawkins's affections, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
Um, but she's just so natural and so good at, at kind of showing her emotions while she's seemingly trying to not show her emotions.
Huh.
Um, Billy Barrett, he's really believable, and like he knows what's going on, and he can't seem to get anybody to believe him. And then, even himself at times, I think he knows what's going on, but he can't believe it himself. So
Yeah. And he's not stupid. He has moments where he does, where he's able to try and he does the right thing. He goes to find help, and he does convince somebody to go with him, and almost kind of gets it to work for him in that way. Like it almost seems like it might work out, and it's just such another great scene. The puzzle pieces that the Philippos put together are so precise. It is a level of precision in the screenplay and the storytelling, the way the building blocks that they're putting together are just incredibly precise, to the point where like it is like a tightrope walk. Any one of these pieces that doesn't fit could bring the whole thing down, and that makes it even more exciting because you just don't know if they're going to pull it off, and then they do, and it's just so rewarding that they pulled it off. They pulled it all together and created this terrifying puzzle with such a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah, yeah, I just really just some of the stuff that she does just God, I can't even think about it. You
Yeah,
know,
no,
making him kiss his dead father and
that was such an amazing scene. That's the thing too, is like there are times where it's like where you realize you're watching a movie and you can sense the manipulation going on, that you're supposed to be suspicious. Like the movie is forcefully making you suspicious of Sally Hawkins, and you're aware that she's going to be the villain, but then they'll do a little thing just subtly that's like, well, yeah, but we're watching this from his perspective and he doesn't like her, so what if he's not reliable? And what if she's
right,
actually not that bad? Like maybe she doesn't have a big dangerous plan at hand. And of course she does, but they somehow are, and via Sally Hawkins' performance, they create just enough doubt to add a little bit more suspense, especially in the second act. Which the second act is the hardest part of seemingly any movie, where you've got to deliver so much information while keeping enough thrill going to keep people engaged. In this movie, I mean, through the character of Oliver, just does that so incredibly
oh
well. That
yeah,
character is so intriguing and so terrifying. You can't you can't take your eyes off of him. What a wonderful young actor! And then they use through him the sound design that they use around him, whether it's music stings or whether it's just the sound design of the things that he's doing to himself.
yeah.
Oh man, a
I
couple of the things that happen to him, or that he does, are just some of the most viscerally horrifying things I've seen in a movie, because they're like terrors that I can't even imagine. Like a knife in your mouth. Just like even the idea of
oh,
that, just kind of, oh my god, no, no, no.
or when he's chewing on the wooden
Mm,
countertop.
yeah. Mm,
I the only thing I can think of with this movie to give it a little more quote unquote mystery about whether this is just Billy Barrett being an unreliable narrator or Sally Hawkins actually being a psychopath would be to delete the intro. That
yeah.
once you kind of figure out what's going on, you're like, okay, this has something to do with her daughter, and um, I think if we didn't have that, we might still be wondering in a good way whether it was all in his head or whether she was actually trying to kill him.
Yeah, I'm of two minds on that, because I thought that opening scene was so interesting, and so and just kind of creative. Like it was so what the fuck. It was such
Yeah.
a wonderful what the fuck is happening here. I thought they did that. I thought it was extraordinarily well. At the same time, I do see what you're saying, that yeah, that might have, but maybe that might have tipped it over into too much suspense at certain points. But I get it. I get it. I do think sometimes when you use the wraparound like that, and the how to reveal the information and how much information to reveal is so important to this movie. And I think they found the perfect balance. But I do see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Oh, yeah. I just really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as hard to like. I enjoyed the experience. It's not a movie that I really could enjoy that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's I do wonder about like the rewatchability of it. Like I do think it'll have a strong rewatchability, but not anytime soon. I don't want to go through that again
Yeah.
anytime soon.
This will have to be one of those movies where I show it to somebody to
Hmm.
rewatch it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's not quite the substance, which I never want to see again, but I still love. But I
Yeah.
could probably watch this again way before I watch the substance again. Oh,
Mm,
all right. Are we on to our classic?
I think we're right on to our classic.
Well, let's talk about Mute Witness. This movie is from 1995 and is a film that I can't believe I've never heard about because it's such a uh, this is such a great movie. Like, where has this movie been all my life, Jeff? Take us through Mute Witness. Tell people who this is and what this is about.
Mute Witness is a little indie horror movie thriller. Um, and we start off with uh, Marina Zudina playing Billy Hughes, who is a makeup artist for horror movies, and they're shooting in Russia. And they're going through all the different, like it opens up, you think you're in a horror movie, but you're actually watching them film one. And she's friends with Faye Ripley's Karen and Evan Richards Andy, who is the director, and his girlfriend, and they've all come over together and been hanging out. Well, she stays late after filming one night, and she's got some stuff to do, and she comes upon them filming a porno movie uh, with a um, with a woman who looks like Hatchet Face from Crybaby. Uh, I mean, no offense, but I really did think she was Kim Hughes. And as she's watching this, and she's kind of embarrassed to watch it, but she's watching it and kind of, like, "Oh, I'm going to just see what's going on." And then the man who is having sex with this woman kills her. She's watching a snuff film being made, and she then backs up and knocks something over. So they know that she's there. They know somebody's there, and they figure it out it's her. And it's basically a chase movie. The rest of the movie turns out they're working for uh, the killers are working for Alec Guinness, who is in his last screen role as the Reaper. And he actually, that interesting side note, he filmed this without a script, without any idea what the movie was going to be around him.
Hmm.
He filmed it in the director saw him, met him, and said, I've always wanted you to be in a movie. Would this be something you'd be interested in doing? And he said, yes, but my schedule is booked up for the next 3 months. So the director was like, hey, let's go do it in a parking garage tomorrow morning. And they did. And he delivered his lines, and they worked it into the movie, with some an over the shoulder double, and just he was asked to not be credited, and he was not credited until after his death. He was known as a mystery guest star. Just a little interesting story there.
Hmm.
But yeah, they basically have to figure out how to get away from these Russian gangsters who are making snuff films for Alec Guinness. Throughout she Billy decides that she's going to ally herself with one police officer, and then she is like she's sure that he is a double agent, and then he's a triple agent, and then no, he's like her friend again. It's so good and kind of funny. This movie has a
Hmm.
really, really dark sense of humor in spots, um, and almost a lightheartedness when you are with Billy and Karen and Andy and Larson. A really kind of a they almost have like a sitcom repartee and a slapstick. Uh, like they don't it's not the ballerina. It's not where they are, they are getting out by their skill. They are getting out by the skin of their teeth a lot of times, in a lot of these situations. And that almost kind of makes it funny because they're just kind of bumbling into escaping a lot of times. So,
there's almost kind of it's not unintentional because I don't know, this movie has a very high sleaze quality to it, but at the same time there's a depth to it that is just entirely unexpected. I mean, it's a very simple thing, but not a lot of horror movies, not a lot of horror filmmakers, especially ones who are making, movies just to make them for as a product. They don't think to do stuff like this. But we're talking about a character, the lead character, Marina Zudina's character, Billy, is mute. She can't speak,
mhm.
and she can't scream. And essentially, you've got a female character who you've taken away her voice, and it's kind of
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's kind of how women feel in situations like this, where they're trapped in a situation like this, is that they feel like they've had their voices taken from them. The way that they use her inability to speak is so clever. They use it so well to where they don't abuse it or make it they don't make a spectacle of it. It's just so perfectly employed in multiple scenes. Obviously, she can't scream when she sees the person murdered. She can't call for help when she sees somebody who might be able to get her out of this situation. She's locked in the studio after the studio is closed for the day, and she can't get out. And she thinks, oh, well, these people who are filming this movie, I'll wait for them to finish shooting their scene, and then I can ask, I can write something down and have them help me get out of here. And then she witnesses this murder, which is such an incredibly well put together scene. It's just so smart, and just her and the victim making eye contact, just this deep eye contact, just sells you on this moment. But there's another little touch that the director, Anthony Waller Anthony Waller does, where
mhm,
early on we're watching a scene being filmed, and it's this very broad scene where the director, Evan Richards, is the one directing the movie. He just lets it go on, and this character, this victim who's being killed in this scene in the movie, it's going on forever. She just will not die properly, and this is his fault. Like, he can just call cut anytime he wants to and start this whole thing over, but he doesn't. And I kept wondering, like, why isn't that being noted here? And it turns out that's intentional, because they want you to see how ridiculous this can be, to prove to you, like, no, it can be as ridiculous as that scene. They
yeah,
actually use that to set up scenes later in the movie. But it's also like so he can play with the toys of filmmaking, because one of the things that he does is revealing for one killer and then the killer's partner and then this third guy in this amazing shot where one guy just sort of reaches into the scene and the camera is like kind of dragged over to reveal that he's also there. And then they do it one more time to reveal all three of these guys who are going to be part of that crew that is killing people. I thought that's just, wow, that's just somebody who's having fun making a movie. Like, I can do something, clever with my camera here. And, like, again, so many films just want to get it done. Like, there are so many horror movies that get made where we just want to finish this and we don't want to be overly clever. We don't want to play around. This movie's having fun. This filmmaker's having fun. It blows my mind that he barely worked after this. That just because
yeah,
he seems like he has so much talent. I'm shocked that he didn't get to do more after this. He's quite good. Even though he is adhering to slasher sort of sleaze throughout. Like, there's needless nudity from our main character, which you typically don't see. Typically, you assign like a supporting character to do the kind of nudity that she does in this movie, but you got to have that sleaze factor, and that's here, and it's good. At the same, it does put the film, squarely into that B movie genre, but there's a skillfulness to it that almost lifts it above that I really enjoyed.
yeah. I have watched this movie just a few times over the years, and every time I'm struck by something new, and like you just saying that, about the unnecessary nudity, um, where she's flashing the neighbor, hoping to get his attention
Yes, the setup
because,
of that, they set that up. Like, that's what the nudity is there for, is to set that up.
yeah, Yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, that's it's and it doesn't work. You would think that's
No,
something that would work. Oh,
that was just another terrific little touch to add to this to the package. And the one last thing that just stood out to me was I really was surprised by the relationship between Billy and the cop to the point where, like, at the end, I actually was buying into the idea of them as like a dating couple, like them actually going together and like having a date. Like because that guy is so much like he seems so much older than her. That could just be the Russian part of him. He's not like
uh-huh.
he's not like classically handsome. He looks like a guy who maybe he's in his early 40s, but he smokes so much that he could be in his 50s.
Yeah,
Like he's been raised on vodka his entire life, so he might even be in his late 30s for all we know. Um,
he is 27 years old.
yeah, exactly. But with that much, cigarettes and vodka, he looks like he's in his 60s. But their chemistry was so good. And the way they're kind of like they're almost flirting in the midst of all this chaos. It almost feels like they're flirting at the end with that idea. And he's like, he could be her dad, but at the same time, I'm kind of buying the chemistry.
Yeah. Well, she has chemistry with just about everybody she's on screen with,
Because
which is weird, but she does. I mean,
she
like,
can't talk.
yeah.
She can't talk. That's amazing.
So she is literally like just her body language is showing
Mm-hmm.
that yeah, I just it's really really a special movie. I'm really glad that I picked it because I didn't know you hadn't seen it.
No, I never. This movie was a complete surprise to me. Complete surprise. I had no idea. And one last thing I want to mention is Faye Ripley. She looks like so many actors from that time that I kept going, I know, where do I know her from? I know her from nowhere. She's never done anything other than
Yeah.
this. But she looks so much like a combination of uh uh like Karen Allen, but like
Hmm.
just in that range of brown-haired actresses. I swore to God, like I had to look her up a couple of times. No, that's got to be this person. Like I thought it was Rosemary DeWitt for much of the movie. Like Rosemary DeWitt's not old enough to be in this movie, but she looks so much like her. It was driving me crazy.
Yeah, she's one of those actors that you think she's obviously should have done a million things, but
Yeah. Well,
she
especially
didn't
like
because
she had she and the boyfriend character, the director, like they're almost having this screwball plot happening in the background,
yeah.
which is good. It just adds another weird layer to this movie.
Yeah, and I've been trying. So something about this movie too is the cover of this movie. It has a woman with her lips sewn shut in the word mute and then witness. And I was convinced for years, I still am convinced because I can't find anything that says it's not, that is Amy Carlson, who's been on 150 different TV shows. But
Hmm.
I'm just convinced that she did the cover for that, but I can't find anything on the internet. And it drives me up the fucking wall. Um, but yeah, I'm
And
really
again,
glad that you.
another wonderful touch. That poster, it evokes a little bit of Argento.
Mhm.
It's just a little bit, for like from opera and whatnot, like it a
Yeah.
similar, feel. And again, that adds to what this movie is, just so well. When you cleverly choose your marketing that way, you can enhance the film as opposed to what Ballerina did and taking away from the film.
Tying it all together.
Yeah,
I
this movie's
just
great. This is one of those. It's like I said, I still think it's a bit of a sleazy B movie, but for a sleazy B movie, it's the highest of quality of sleazy B movie. That makes me absolutely adore it.
good. Good. I'm glad I picked one you actually liked.
Well done, well done.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
excuse
you.
me.
Oh,
But
what do
how
we
are
got
you
coming
doing
up
next
this?
week?
Uh,
Uh, because we've got let's see what we have here. I know one of the movies I've already seen that I'm so excited for people to finally get a chance to look at is The Life of Chuck, Mike Flanagan's new movie with Tom Hiddleston. My
Love
review
that
is already
story.
you could find a link to my review on the Facebook page. It's already up. You if you read it, you know that I absolutely love this movie. And like I said, I it it's one of those movies. It's one of those movies. So I hope you enjoy it as well, Jeff. What else is
I
there?
really enjoyed the short story. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think then you're probably gonna love this movie. It is so incredibly well put together, and Mike Flanagan has just brought so much life and emotion and beauty to it that yeah, it wow. I'm still kind of I still kind of soak in this movie in my mind. I think I opened my review by saying something like Mike Flanagan reached into my own imagination and pulled out this movie because it felt like something I've always wanted to see in a movie, which is a strange feeling and a strange way to look at it, but that's how it felt. It felt like I created this movie as I was watching it. Weirdly enough, and that's what it's a special movie for me that I'm going to love talking about. Absolutely.
Good, good.
Let's see. Oh, The Materialists, which is um the director of Past Lives, directed this one with Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal. I'm really looking forward to it. I am concerned that this level of star power might overwhelm her kind of more muted storytelling. Past Lives.
Oh, Dakota
Uh,
Johnson.
just the I love Dakota Johnson. I don't understand why the
She's
hatred that
fine.
so many people have for her. I think she's
She's
fantastic. I've liked
Madam
I
Web.
mean Madam Web's trash, but like I don't think it's her fault. I think that was a bad idea. But but like she did a movie called Cha Cha Real Smooth, which I feel like I'm the only person who
Yeah.
saw that movie, and it's fucking wonderful. The Daddy-O with Sean Penn that she just did last year was really charming and unique and fascinating to watch. Like she does such interesting work, and I think they're just people who just decide that they hate her. I don't really understand that, but I do. Like I said, the director here, the director of Past Lives, she is absolutely incredible. Past Lives is one of the best movies of the last decade, and I just worry that this level of star power is more than her kind of storytelling, and I'm concerned that their personalities might overwhelm the kind of personal romantic storytelling that she wants to do. But that's just
Okay.
a preconceived notion based off of the trailer. Hopefully, it's going to be if it's nearly as good as Past Lives, it'll be an incredible film.
Good to know.
And if you haven't seen Past Lives, see Past Lives. That movie's incredible.
Yeah, I'll have to. I don't think I've seen it. No, no, I don't think I've seen it.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely watch it. Definitely watch that before you see this one, so you have a really good perspective on her. Because yeah, wonderful film. I think I said it was. I think it was my number one the year it came out,
huh,
and it's an A24 movie.
this is true. I'm
Let's
struggling
see.
with having the thought to go see Friday the 13th on Friday the 13th because it doesn't start till 8:15 and I work at 4 in the morning.
Mm,
So might have to take a
decisions,
long
decisions.
afternoon nap. Not that I haven't seen, I haven't seen this movie 5 or 6 times in the theater, but it
Do you
is
have
my
a
favorite franchise.
is there like a non-horror Stephen King adaptation out there from the past, or is all of his stuff mostly horror? I mean, there's Shawshank, but I think people have had enough Shawshank.
I've had more than enough Shawshank for that could last me. Um, hmm, that's a good question.
Yeah, because Life of Chuck obviously is anything but a horror movie. It's yeah.
Trying to think of something like well, you know what? I don't know about in the movie, but in the story, the men in the yellow coats and the men in the red coats from Hearts in Atlantis are in the are in the story because it's all tied to the Dark Tower, which is
Hmm.
his kind of big MacGuffin. So I don't know. I don't remember if I've seen that movie or not, but
I saw it. I've got a review of Hearts of Atlantis on. It was all right. It was an okay movie, I think. Anthony Hopkins
mhm.
starred in it. It was like 2001, so it's like it's been a
Oh
while.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to think that's a quarter of a century ago.
Oh, shut up. Oh my God.
Back at the turn of the millennium when Anthony Hopkins started Hearts of Atlantis.
Oh my God. Why do you remind me of these things?
Oh, you should see what happens to Amy when I do that.
Well, Amy's a woman and that affects her way more than me. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, I'm the big brother. What are you gonna do? You gotta do
True.
that. It's in the handbook.
I'm trying to think of some non-horror Stephen King, but all of his, even his non-horror stuff, have some horror elements to them. Like, um, Dolores Claiborne is the story of a woman and her daughter and what she did to save her daughter. There's, Shawshank, which uh, does have, in the story at least, has a little bit of a supernatural bent
Hmm.
to it. Running Man is pure sci-fi. Um, God, what else? Green Mile is supernatural, not necessarily horror though.
Hmm.
Um, there's Hearts in Atlantis. There's Dolan's Cadillac, but that was a direct-to-video movie, so we don't have to talk about that. Oh, you know what's a good? Might be a good one. Have you seen A Good Marriage?
Never heard of it.
It's with Joan Allen, and it's from his book Full Dark No Stars, and it's kind of based a little bit on the BTK killer.
Hmm.
If you haven't seen that, let's make that our classic. I mean, it's only 2014, but if you've never seen it, then I thought I love that kind of story where you find out somebody isn't who you think they are.
Hmm.
So that might be one. It's not really a horror movie as much as it is kind of a little bit of a thriller. So
All right, yeah, that's fine with me.
cool.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Have a good one.